Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome, welcome, welcome to the showdown of the season. We are going to be debating one of the most important topics in our lives, personally, because it will affect each and every one of you. We have two very important people to my left and to my right who will be discussing the topic of whether or not university tuition in Canada should be free or not. So, Atul will be against free tuition, and Adrian will be for free tuition. So, for all of you in the front row, you are in the splash zone, so get your water wings on, brace yourself. So we will first hear from Atul, who will be against free tuition, which will mean basically that we all have to shell out our cold hard cash to come here every day. And Adrian will then, afterwards, give us his spiel about why we should be not paying every single day, and why technically, even though we aren't shelling out our cold hard cash, we'll then have no reason to come here at all. No financial motivation. So, without further ado, let's play ball.
So I want to start off just by pointing out that, it's pretty clear that everybody wants to go to university. Society's gone into a direction where everything is, it's basically a knowledge-based economy. And we find that, there are greater benefits in life. The quality of life is greater after you go to university. And why wouldn't it be? You get higher wages, in general, you just lead a better, you lead a better life, and that's what we've been led to believe. But leading university without tuition causes problems. And what those problems are is that our universities play a greater role within society. And what that role is not simply as a higher educational institution, but greater impact towards communities. And what that means is that when you go to university, you don't simply go here to learn. You go here to use their athletic centers. You go here for graduate programs, for law, for medicine, for business. And these all play a role into why your tuition is so high, because you receive the following benefits. And why shouldn't it be? Now, I want to take this and I want to simplify this as much as I can. Think of it as simple supply and demand. If university tuition was free, that means everybody would go. And what we use as a simple metric to get people accepted would be grades. And if you're having everybody apply, you'd have to change up that. You'd have to change up that metric. What would it be? Would it be merit-based? The questions that arise from free tuition are endless, and it's just too hard to distinguish between top talent and those who unfortunately didn't work too hard in school. So I feel that university tuition is extremely important because within this country, within the society, there are embedded benefits towards going to university. Now, I'd like to end off with a small note that, going to university does have its benefits, but we need to remember that there are other career paths out there too. And because we're in a knowledge-based economy doesn't mean that jobs like trades are not positive. So although students can't afford university, there are other options. Do I have 30 seconds? Oh. Aside from going to university and paying for school, you can take on jobs within the trade which are just as popular and lead to just as great lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Atul, for a compelling argument. And we will now hear from Adrian, who will argue for free tuition.
Tuition sucks. Tuition literally ruins smiles. Let's think back to the end of Mean Girls, when Gina got hit by a bus. I picture the bus as a smiling version of herself, and picture Gina as a smiling version of herself, picture the bus as a low-flying F-16 fighter jet. That's what tuition does to people. It ruins your soul and makes you miserable. Think back to when you were in high school. You studied and you spent all of your waking moments making money to go to post-secondary school. You thought you were rich, but then you realized that your education is going to cost you triple the amount that you first thought. You have to get a loan, you're in debt, and now where are you? How many of you are graduating this year? Remarkable. You might have, most of you probably have two options. The first is to continue your education, so that you can push back your loans so they grow exponentially, or you can get any job you can find, start paying back your loans as they also grow exponentially through interest. So basically those translate to the exact same thing, which is you staring at the taupe walls of your apartment thinking, why? And dreaming back to the times when you were in high school, and you thought that when you were graduating college you'd be driving a Lambo. But let's go beyond the self. Where does all this money go? It goes to the pockets of the rich old people whose dream it is to build shitty concrete infrastructure that timelessly falls apart and decays across the horizons of northern Toronto under a thing called York University. These are the same people that look to us. They look to us and they tell us the world's problems. They say the ice caps are melting. The human race has destroyed 50% of the species on this planet. They say that right now in Liberia, there are people who are bleeding out of every orifice in their body from a disease that is quickly spreading around the entire world. And they look to us and they say, what are you doing to stop this? They say, you are the brightest and you are the best educated people in the world. What are you doing to stop this? And all we have to say is, what can we do to stop this? Because you forced us to pay so much money in tuition that we're spending all of our time trying to pay off our debt instead of worrying about the things that actually matter. Tuition is a crutch against the potential that we have as a generation. It is a crutch to the success that we can be providing the world as a global community. Think back to that scene in Mean Girls. You are that smiling child. Tuition is an F-16 fighter jet coming towards you. It doesn't end well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adrian. So I do have a couple questions for both of you, even though your arguments are very, very convincing, I must say. So, Atul, quick question for you. So, you did mention that, paying for tuition is a good thing. You get lots of benefits. So, as a student who has to pay for a lot of things myself, and I think I can speak for a lot of people in this room who are struggling to pay for everything for themselves, what would you say if a student, one of us, came up to you and said, hey there, I didn't really like your arguments so much. I have to pay my bills every single month. Someone like Adrian, who said something similar. What would you tell them? What advice would you give that student in order to progress in their life?
Yeah, so I would start out by saying you make of it what you want to make of it. You make of it what you need to. And something that I'm going to go back and say that we fail to realize is that when we're in post-secondary institutions, when we're in colleges, when we're in universities, we have access to amazing resources, one of them being our professors. Have we ever taken a minute to even sit down after class and have a conversation with our professor, see what they've been through, just pick their brains a little bit? That's a form of networking in itself. That's a form of you growing in itself. So aside from that one benefit of your professor, the person standing in front of you teaching you, there are others. For example, like I stated before, the athletic institutions, you have other amenities in terms of your student clubs, so on and so forth. So you make of it what you want to. I get it. You guys go to a commuter school, you want to get in, you want to get out, and there's a sour attitude with York University, and you just don't want to be in this environment. But if you go on university living within a stereotype that's developed not even by you, that's not created through your experiences, what else do you expect? So I would encourage you to try to make the best out of your situations, learn from your professors, understand what they do, learn from your institution, learn from your environment, and grow.
That is some good advice. Now, Adrian, you mentioned that paying off debt is a very complicated process. You're dealing with this problem your whole life, and it weighs on you the more debt that you pile on. So, personally, I have a credit card. And my dad has told me that it's actually a good thing to learn to discipline yourself to pay a certain amount every month. So how would you respond to the fact that maybe it's a good thing to have the consistent pattern of remembering and having a responsibility to do something every month?
Fair enough. It's one thing to want to own a PlayStation 4 and a television set, and to put those things in your credit card to pay them off, build good credit so you can get a house. But it's another thing when your credit bill is completely unmanageable and it's so high that you begin to not see it anymore. I want to make a point visually because I feel like it will strengthen my argument.
You have 12 seconds.
This is what you had before university. That's what tuition did to it. Tuition sucks. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that visual representation. I personally felt crushed watching that $50 being crushed in front of me. So, that concludes our debate. So, I think we'll just have a raise hands sort of situation. So, if you are in favor of paying tuition in order to come to class every single day for the rest of your career and education, raise your hand. And everybody put your hands down. Thank you. And all in favor of coming to school for free? Thank you very much. I'll let you decide.